The NCAA strikes again, as does the Cowboys offense. Will hit some grades, some MVPs, the good, the bad, the ugly. And if somebody said that this was going to be the year that Casey Dunn opened it up and got her done, I'm going to cue my inner Shaggy and my Gundy and say, it wasn't me.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at All Day O State. Today, we're partially brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Fixes tired fast with zero sugar. It's a convenient, portable size thing that you can use to pick you up. Go to 5hourenergy.com to use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your first order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used on other promotions. Make sure you go to 5hourenergy.com today. Meanwhile, we get started in the conversation of the Cowboys against the SDSU Jackrabbits, the team that did, in fact, win 29 games in a row, back-to-back FCS national titles, but it wasn't the same team as the last couple of years. I think we were able to see that. Now, there were some surprises. There were some things that I thought we would do a lot better that we did not do, just like there was going to be some things that I thought maybe we would struggle at that we ended up being a little bit better at. So the broad overview for me is the game was pretty decent, right? There's nothing major coming out of it that's a big issue, just like there's nothing major out of it that we decided was a massive unseen weapon. Ollie Gordon had to earn his yards. They had a very good game plan for stopping the run, which is why we were able to exploit quite a bit in the passing game. But overall, right, I think it was a solid game. It was a good performance against a good ball club that gave us enough to get ready for Arkansas. And now I will also add the caveat for Arkansas. After watching them, their Tony Lindsay-esque quarterback is likely going to be a problem. But back to SDSU, in my personal opinion, guys, I think that if you're going to be looking at the quarterback play, we saw precisely what we needed to see out of Alan Bowman, which was the better pocket presence, better pocket awareness. We saw it in the spring. We saw it in the fall. Thankfully, we were able to see it now in live game person. Did I think it was a little odd that he was playing so late in the game? Kind of, to some degree, but at the same time, this is his 15th game now, and Mike Gundy's always said that's typically around the time where you have the full understanding. So as long as Tim Rattay's improvement for Alan Bowman remains with his new presence in the pocket, that was a very, very good test for everybody to see, and I give Alan Bowman an A for that. As far as Ollie Gordon goes, I'm going to say like a B, right? He did pretty good. He had to earn most of his yards. He does officially, after week 1, lead the country in the most amount of missed tackles, so that's encouraging. But I was a little disappointed, I'm going to be honest with you, in Trent Allen and Sessi Velahe. Guys, I think Sessi Velahe is a very, very good back, and you know how high I am on Trent Allen. So they didn't get a lot of opportunities, but when they did get opportunities, I'll be honest with you, it didn't appear as though they did a whole lot with them. Matter of fact, there was one run that Trent Allen had that he ran right into the back of the offensive lineman when there was a hole to the right that he probably could have busted for 10, 12, 15 yards. So the vision side of things may be something that he's working on. Sessi Velahe, after getting his head almost ripped off, I could understand why maybe he didn't get as many carries after that, or he was a little bit more reserved. So, yeah, I wasn't overly impressed. But that also goes to the offensive line. Pass pro, you give him probably a B+. It's hard to give him anything lower than a B, even in the run game, because we gave up 0 sacks. I know that's more of a pass pro statistic, but, nonetheless, we did run the ball somewhat effectively. 104 yards for Ollie Gordon is good. Him playing late in the fourth quarter after he already had the 100 yards is pretty unnecessary. But again, if Trent Allen and Sessi Velahe get in there and they don't really do much, then I understand why we have to keep Ollie Gordon in the game a little bit longer. So the offensive line overall, I think you could say B+, maybe an A. You would like to see more lanes opened up. We did not get to the second level all that often, but Joe Michalski had a phenomenal game. Preston Wilson got in on the pancake party quite often. Dalton Cooper looked pretty good. Isaiah Glass looked pretty good. Jake Springfield was kind of, a man in his own world over there doing his thing. So overall, the O-line did decent, but I do think that there's more room to get to the second level and open more holes in the running game. Defensive line, that was a big disappointment for me, ladies and gentlemen. Last year it was the domination of area of operation to open things up for the guys in the back end. This year was supposed to be about getting more pressure, being more involved in the statistical categories. And from game one, we didn't see that. Jaleel Johnson didn't do enough. Deshaun Brown didn't do enough. Justin Kirkland didn't do enough. I'm just calling a spade, y'all. Our defensive line didn't really do much of anything whatsoever. That was very, very, very disappointing. I expected them to do a lot. Now, I understand that it's early in the season. You don't want to show a whole lot, so there's not going to be a lot of shifts and twists and stunts and different blitz packages. I completely understand that. So I do give Nardo a little bit of a pass there. But D-line, I expected a whole lot. Didn't get much. Pretty disappointed there. Safeties. Guys, Trey Rucker was all over the field. He was a man amongst boys during that game. But if you look at the overall tackles, which we are going to get to the MVPs here in a second, it was a couple dudes and then everybody else was kind of spaced out. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but nonetheless, I think that the safety group, maybe a C+, because they did do some things. They did prevent some things, but we also did give up 6 massive, big-time plays that you can't do in this upcoming game against Arkansas because their offensive firepower it's something there. Linebacker, I think overall I'm going to give the group a B. I think it's fair to give Nick Martin an A. He was all over the field, obviously doing what he does best. He was able to run down that quarterback a multitude of times, and that quarterback is very athletic, very quick, kind of reminiscent of a Zach Robinson. So Nick Martin, obviously an A. Linebackers overall, we missed quite a few tackles. Jeff Robertson missed quite a few tackles. Kendall Daniels missed quite a few tackles. And once again, the eye discipline for Kendall Daniels was a little bit off, which is unfortunately what we have seen in the spring and the fall. Once he gets that down, he's going to be an absolute animal, almost unstoppable. So just give him a little bit more time. Same with Jeff Robertson. Yeah, he missed a few tackles, but he was also, in the area of the ball carrier more often than not, so the hustle was there. Cornerback, I say overall, B. They didn't really test us a whole lot, but they did have some big plays, and you can't allow one wide receiver to give 150 yards. I know Griffin flipping Wildy is that good, but at the same time, 150 yards for a wide receiver when you have to play at some point in time against Tetaroa McMillan and the duo over at Iowa State, that's kind of scary. Wide receivers overall, I'm going to say probably an A. DeJon Stribling, A++. I was so excited to see Io Shotomide King after seeing some of the stuff he's done in the spring and the fall, but he didn't get to play because DeJon Stribling put up an NFL level performance. So if DeJon Stribling is going to continue to put up these type of performances, we might not see a whole lot of Io Shotomide King, even though Io is battling still to some degree to get some of those snaps. That was huge for DeJon. He had to get on the field and prove that, hey, I know Io's good. I know he's 6'5", 220 with almost 40-inch vertical, but I'm kind of him. So that was good to see out of DeJon Stribling. He definitely gets an A. Let's see. Whenever you look at the fullback position, we had some blocks, missed some blocks. Jake Schultz had an opportunity to catch a pass, didn't haul it in. All in all, not bad, but not great. We did miss a decent amount of blocks, which made Ollie have to do a little bit extra. So I'm going to say C+ for the fullback position. What we did wide receiver, we did running back. I guess we're pretty square. Oh, tight ends. Tight ends didn't get to do much. From a blocking perspective, it looked pretty good. Now, I haven't graded any of the film. This is like the overall arching view. Now we'll shift over here to the MVPs. Offensive MVP. I went back and forth here between Bowman and DeJon. But I do think because of what we needed to see, I'm going to give the offensive MVP to Allen Crawdaddy Bowman. He had a pretty good game. And again, I did go back and forth. I really wanted to go with DeJon Stribling here, but after watching what Alan Bowman was able to do, it's a pretty big deal, in my personal opinion, compared to what we saw last year and what we have seen thus far in the spring and fall. That's what we needed to see. We needed that to translate over. And fortunately, that's exactly what happened. But Alan Bowman was 25 of 34 for like 270 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Offensive line, obviously, they didn't give up a sack. We didn't have a turnover. Corey Black did have a phenomenal pick. So, yeah, that was somewhat anticipated, but you had to see it live before you could buy in completely. So offensive MVP, Alan Bowman. Defensive MVP, this is easy. Trey Rucker was all over the field. 15 tackles, almost double digits solo. He needed to become faster because of some of the coverage stuff. And then he dealt with a little bit of an injury that allowed some of the other guys to get more reps in the spring and early on in the fall. But since he's gotten healthy, clearly he makes a very, very big difference in this ball club. So defensively, I got to go with Trey Rucker. Special teams, guys, Logan Ward looked phenomenal. And we probably should give this award to Sean Snyder, but Logan Ward looked great. Hudson Clark looked great. Wes Fall actually looked pretty daggone good in the role that he was asked to play. So overall, special teams, very pleased. From the return game, we probably could have done more, but at the same time, it's game one. BP almost busted one for a really long gainer. And then I'm going to say for coach MVP, Tim Rattay. Guys, imagine this. If Alan Bowman has improved this much from last season, then I think it's safe to assume that Garrett Rangel and Zane Flores have climbed up in their ability department quite a bit as well. Again, I think this is a 1A, 1B situation. And I think Alan Bowman just kind of showed a little bit more of that. We could have got a lot more from some different areas. I understand it was week one and you want to keep things pretty vanilla week one. I get that, but there was still some good, some bad, some ugly. Before we get to that, I have to tell y'all, get energized today with 5-Hour Energy. It really doesn't matter what you have going on, if it's travel, if it's school, or if you're just simply trying to get the pick me up to get all your chores done in the day. 5-Hour Energy is the ticket. And right now, you can get so many good deals and so many good flavors. We're trying to help you, right? Help me help you. 5-Hour Energy can be perfect before the workout if you're trying to stay in shape, make the energy shot part of your lifestyle and get that energy boost you need to get fit. If you're watching the game, whether it be stress-inducing or you just need a pick-me-up to watch some of the late-night stuff, then you need a 5-Hour Energy. Get in the zone with 5-Hour Energy. They give you the feeling, alertness, and energy that you need to get in the zone, stay in the zone, and make it happen, Captain. With zero sugar, it's a convenient, portable size, perfect pick-me-up style snack. And with the website, you can pick all the crazy flavors: watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, and many, many more. There's flavor options for everyone, and you can pretty much try out every one of them. Go to the site, and you can build your own 24-pack or your own 12-pack. Choose the flavors you want and have it delivered right to your door. 5-Hour Energy is the way to go. So get squared away today with 5hourenergy.com. That is the number 5hourenergy.com to get some 5-Hour Energy products in you ASAP. You can use the code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid through September 30th, and it's for one order, cannot be used on other promotions, and it's not good on subscription orders. But it's good. So you need to get squared away today with 5-Hour Energy. Go to 5hourenergy.com today to get the best in the game and a pick-me-up. The best in the game for the pick-me-up Cowboys, thought would be maybe the offense. But it wasn't. Okay, well, we'll go with the good. Obviously, Alan Bowman looked good. I think the secondary, for the most part, looked good. We gave up some chunk plays, but even the chunk plays we gave up, it was kind of formation-related. Obviously, the wide receiver group looked pretty good. We didn't quite have anybody over 100, but I think BP had 7 catches. Rashad Owens had like 5, including the missing a touchdown that he typically can get. Dijon Stribling, again, he looked absolutely ridiculous. It would have been nice to get him over a hundo because he looked good. Ollie Gordon, his ability to break tackles is just so much fun to watch. Like, he might be the greatest player we've seen since Justin Blackmon. And we've had several NFL-level Cowboys since Justin Blackmon. But just the athletic specimen and the ability to do things that are completely way out of the ordinary is very impressive. So that, of course, was fun to watch. I liked some of the shifts, and I liked some of the pre-snap motions and things that we were doing defensively, while also not showing a whole lot. Yes, you got to be pretty vanilla your first couple of games if you can get by with it. We're not going to be able to get by with it next week, so hopefully some of this changes. The bad, in my opinion, was just Casey Dunn, right? I stand on the statement that the only thing that can slow this team down is Casey Dunn or Mike Gundy or somebody getting in their own way. I know it's game one. I know you got to be somewhat vanilla. But, guys, the sad fact is that Casey Dunn's been doing this for years. So as much as my soul, my heart and soul want to say, Cody, game one, we didn't want to show anything. We didn't need to show anything. Therefore, the offense was purposely, that way. We've been saying that for years, though, is the problem. Right? For weeks. Well, that's just the first couple of weeks. We're not going to show anything. We're going to open it up week 4, week 5, week 6, and it never happens. So hopefully this is a new year, right? This is clearly a new Mike Gundy, right? It wasn't me style Gundy. I love this new version of Gundy. But the bad was the offensive play calling. Now, in the second half, we did take a couple shots, but the predictability is just absolutely asinine. As we threw 10 passes behind the line of scrimmage, 1 pass at the line of scrimmage, 7 passes within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. We took 1 deep play. Now, we hit it. It was a massive touchdown for Rashad Owens, but we didn't push the ball much. We didn't do a lot. The option route concepts looked much improved. That BP touchdown was something that the Casey Dunn offense, traditionally speaking, would not have incorporated. So that was a beautiful read by him. It was a beautiful read by Bowman to anticipate the fact that he was going to break in but choose the pivot route instead. That was a thing of beauty. So that's one of the maturation processes of not only Alan Bowman, but this wide receiver core with the option route. So thank you, Alan Bowman, for the option route concepts. Casey Dunn, still want to fight you in a phone booth until you learn how to expand the offense, because the vanilla stuff, it's a good excuse. But if we're vanilla against Arkansas and we're vanilla against Tulsa and we're vanilla against Utah, that is my frustration, because that has been the history of Casey Dunn. And y'all know I put a large part of it on Mike Gundy, but even Casey Dunn said in his post-game presser that he wasn't really happy with some of the packaging they put together offensively. I'm glad he said that. It needed to be said. There are going to be people out here that, jump on the Casey Dunn put up 44 points, so he couldn't have been too bad. Nope. It's the same. It's the same crap, right? The option routes have improved dramatically, but we all know that has nothing to do with Casey Dunn. Unfortunately, that's all Alan Bowman, right? So if it's vanilla, cool. I hope to see more of it. The ugly, guys, there wasn't really much ugly out here. I think the ugly probably could have been the fact that our offensive line, with 172 returning starts and 223 some odd starts when you combine everybody else, for having all of that seniority and maturity, they didn't really do a lot to help Ollie. Again, we didn't open a lot of holes. We didn't get to the second level often. Now, I also understand from an offensive perspective, maybe we're not doing a lot of pulling. Maybe we're not doing a lot of shifts. Maybe we're not doing a lot of the eye candy stuff just yet. But once again, this game against Arkansas got dramatically different with their new quarterback. Guys, I've said it a million times. I'm not a big believer in KJ Jefferson. I wasn't at Arkansas. I'm not at UCF. And if you watch some of the UCF game, that was ugly, right? He threw some ugly duckling balls. They've got a phenomenal running game. So if he stays healthy and he can run the ball, they're going to be pretty good. But yeah, that was ugly, right? Colorado was ugly. But the only thing that was ugly for us, I would say, was the D-line, right? O-line could have done more, should have done more. Maybe it was systematic. Defensive line, there's no excuse. Even if you're super base and super vanilla, we hardly didn't get any pressure. And the sack that Colin Oliver did get was a coverage sack, right? It was a coverage sack where Gronowski went through all 3 of his reads, couldn't find anybody, tried to step up in the pocket and stepped right into Colin Oliver. And Colin Oliver did get some pressure, so he did make it interesting. But again, Colin Clay, Justin Kirkland, Deshaun Brown, Jaleel Johnson, Xavier Ross, Cody Walterscheid, like all of those dudes were non-existent. And that's a problem for Oklahoma State to get to the levels we need to get to the CFP, both the O-line and the D-line are going to have to do more. Again, I understand the reservation on a baby offense, but unfortunately we have years of history with Casey Dunn doing the same thing the next week and then the next week and then the next week. It shouldn't take Mike Gundy stepping in to say, all right, dude, we got to fix some of this. It shouldn't take Charlie Dickey having to, reinsert who he is as a coordinator type of guy. It shouldn't take all that. So we're all going to breathe a sigh of relief. Got the dub against a good ball club. Now we get Arkansas coming up, and what seemed like a win, if you just did your job, didn't screw it up, played your game, it looks a little bit different now with that QB. Again, he's got some Tony Lindsay vibes to me. Let me know that in the comments section if you agree with that. Then we'll talk about the Big 12 race. Is it taking shape yet, or is it a little more crazy, or are we kind of down this season? I don't know. You have the opportunity to make those kind of decisions. You can be the coach. You can be the GM. You can basically be who you want to be with the ultimate game in the industry right now, which is ultimate football head coach. We want you to take a moment to get squared away with the brand new mobile game that you're going to have a crap ton of fun with. It's an amazing game. It's got a simulation that allows you to step into the shoes of being a program leading coach. You can pick it, you can imagine it, you can build it, you can make it happen. From recruiting to hiring staff to overseeing training camps and handling scholarships, the whole 9 yards. You basically control every crucial detail of your program. It's all in your hands, and you have to decide how you're going to handle the pressure. What I think the best part about the game is you're responsible for the play calling offensively. So your strategy will determine the success of your football team, and it will shape who you are going to be viewed as, whether you're a legacy for your program or a rebuilder. Ultimate College Football HC is completely free, has no ads, and it's 100% playable offline. You can go there today, play the game that you need to be playing. We have a special offer for you, of course. With Locked On, you're going to use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost to your program. Make sure that you are available to take advantage of this perk, because it'll get your team off to a strong start. Make sure you download the game. Just visit ultimate-cfb.com. That's ultimate-cfb.com. Look it up on all of your app stores. Ultimate College Football Head Coach. Begin your coaching legacy today. All right, the Big 12. You would think 14-2 record is a good thing. But unfortunately, I feel like we have more questions than answers. It's week 1. It's natural to have this overreaction phase. But Oklahoma State did what they were supposed to. Utah looked pretty daggone good. I think UCF looked pretty good, even though I think KJ Jefferson has a lot of limitations. KU looked good. K-State looked good. Arizona offensively looked phenomenal. Defensively, they have some questions. So, we don't know about them. Arizona State, how about the Sun Devils? I don't want to say they shocked everybody, but like 45-3 or something like that, 45-6, something like that was the score out of Arizona State, a team that basically is a bunch of transfers because they keep losing dudes and they have to kind of rebuild the program every year now, which sucks for Kenny Dillingham. He's good at recruiting. He's good at recruiting that area, especially being from the Chandler, Arizona, area. But defensively, they've got some questions. Colorado, goodness me. Now, see, here's the deal. Colorado has a lot of talent. Everybody in the country knows that. But we discussed how I don't think that Deion's recipe for the recruiting is going to be the most advantageous route. We've heard stories from players that have left, but some players leave because they're disgruntled employees, essentially. But some players leave because of legitimate reasons. And we've heard about some of the craziness in the locker room that goes on at Colorado. Players are allowed to bring stuff into the locker room that you're not supposed to. They have fist fights. They have coaches that encourage the fist fights. And they have supposedly the HAZing word where they make freshmen do crazy stuff, this and that and the other. Don't know how much of it is accurate. Don't know how much of it is true. But if you saw a clip on the sideline of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, like Travis Hunter is the best two-way player in America, no questions asked. But Shedeur Sanders is like talking crap to him and telling him to catch the daggone ball when Shedeur throws crappy pass. So I think it's the dynamics they have in that locker room. It's a train wreck, is what it appears. It's another thing, my Gundy country, that we don't really typically have to deal with, right? We can count on a couple fingers how many times our locker room's gotten a little wacky, a little wild, a little crazy. But Colorado, great talent, but they don't play as a team because I don't think they are a team. I don't think a quarter of the roster likes another quarter of the roster. There just seems to be a lot of internal fighting and internal turmoil, and the coaches, instead of, fixing it, they seem to be either allowing it or encouraging it. Who knows? Don't know. Yeah, but it looks like they're going to waste all that talent because they can't be a cohesive team. And unfortunately, stuff like that typically does start at the top. So he can recruit with the best of them. His play calling's probably pretty good. His ability to hire staff, pretty good. But his ability to make a team function as a team is pretty terrible. Jackson State, same way. He didn't have a functioning team. They were just athletically like the Alabama compared to everybody else, right? They were a cheat code. Now that you don't have a cheat code and you're in a legitimate conference that makes things difficult, you might have to make an adjustment. And again, the parity in the league is what has made it most exciting the last couple of years. Well, now that we have all the new additions, you would think that the parity would get even bigger, and it may be. But then you have performances like Houston. Willie Fritz is a phenomenal coach, and he brought over pretty much, I don't want to say all, but virtually a large percentage of his Tulane staff. He also brought in basically the top two defenders that were captains from Tulane over with him. But Donovan Smith is going backwards tremendously. Their ability to pass the ball seems pretty non-existent, even though they've got some dudes. Their offensive line was horrendous. That is not a Power 5 offensive line, Power 4, Power 3, whatever. Houston's O-line is not a Power 3 O-line. It's not even close. So they've got a lot of work to do. I don't know if they're going to win a game in the conference whatsoever. Then you look at, some of the other teams that kind of struggled. TCU had to show everything in their playbook just to get by with the W, and I'm not still a massive believer in Josh Hoover, but even if you were going to take aside the offensive stuff, defensively, they're a disaster, which is odd to say. A TCU ball club that was coached by Gary Patterson, yeah, they may go up and down offensively, but you knew defensively they were always going to be one of the best. It's kind of like Aycock at Iowa State. It doesn't matter what they do defensively because by and large, defensively, his 3-3-5 is going to be able to shut you down. I don't know. Iowa State, 38 to like 10 or whatever. It was okay. Wasn't super impressive. I didn't get to watch the game. I just watched the highlights, so maybe I'm misinterpreting something here. Arizona, Teteroa McMillan, goodness me, ladies and gentlemen, God, that guy's good. That guy's real good. Again, UCF's rushing game is going to be hard to stop. Defensively, they've got some dudes. We'll see how it all shakes out. Texas Tech, massive believer in Baron Morton, always have been. He showcased his abilities once again. Them getting Jalen Conyers from Arizona State is absolutely huge for them. But again, defensively, Texas Tech doesn't have a defense. So even the Mike Leach years where they could put up 50, 60, 70 points in a game, they would give up 50, 60, 70 points in a game too. That seems to be the same recipe for their season upcoming. So I don't necessarily think the Big 12 is taking shape, but week one did provide some proof that Oklahoma State, Utah, Kansas State, Kansas are ready to rock and roll. UCF could be a problem, right? Arizona definitely could be a problem. I was surprised with Arizona State. Don't think they're going to be a problem, but they had to get where they did, and they did. So, anywho, before we break down film and start talking about the Arky Hogs, we're going to skedaddle on off here for this one. So that's all we're going to have. As always, I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. Like it if you like the daggone thing. Dislike it if you don't. That's okay, too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. My podcast with people out there. You know what to do. Hit the stars, leave a review, because without you, this is a train without a caboose. All right, y'all. Later, taters.